A very, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to the SP Abuja monthly technical meeting. So every month, as part of our capacities to build professional development, the Society of Petroleum Engineers Abuja section holds a technical meeting to share technical knowledge amongst all of our members. Please confirm you can hear me if you're on the call. Confirm you can hear me. What you can do is drop a chat and let us know where you're joining us from. Just drop a chat on the chat box and let us know where you are joining us from, which part of Nigeria, of course, which part of the world are you joining us from? We also appeal that you could share the link, share the meeting link to your colleagues from all parts of the world so that they can join this meeting and, of course, learn from a very distinguished professional who is the Chief Executive Officer of Amplus VG Energy JV. Of course, Dr. Mohammed Baba Shehu, who is also on the call. And of course, he's going to give us about 40 minutes of very interactive discussion on the theme, integrating hydrogen production into Nigeria's oil and gas sector, a pathway to energy transition. If you can see my screen, you will also see the order of event for today. After the safety brief, which I will take shortly, we'll have the introduction of some of our guests on the call, and then we'll have a welcome remark by Engineer Ikechiko Okafor, PhD, the section chief for SP Abuja section. Once we are done with his remark, we switch gears immediately to knowing our speaker. And after that, we'll have the technical lecture, which will last for about 30 minutes. Immediately it's done, we will call for your question and answers. And during that moment, you'll kindly appeal to either drop a chat or raise your hands so that we can give the opportunity to ask Engineer Shehu your questions. After we are done with that, we go to the closing remark by our programs chair, the network, and we leave. It's going to be a very, very brief one. And I believe you would give me all of your attention for the next 1 hour, 30 minutes. I'm not seeing any chats on the group chat. Can you just tell me your name and where you're joining us from? If you would like to make me know you. So let me just know your name, where you're joining us from, join on the group chat so that we can know you're actually listening to me and hearing what I am saying. I also like to appeal that during the course of the training of the technical session, you should also drop key takeaways on the chat box so that those that are listening can also read what you're writing. Again, please let me know where you're joining us from. My pleasure to continue with the safety brief. The first of all is that please, for the course of this event, please mute your microphone if you're not speaking. We also appeal that you raise your hands to speak. And of course, the moderator, which is I will give you the opportunity to speak. Also use the chat button, the C for comments and the Q for questions. And of course, we'll be so pleased to give you the opportunity to ask your questions or drop comments. I also like to ensure that please you can hear the fire alarm while using your headset. Be very alert and aware of your environment, and very importantly, please stay safe. Ladies and gentlemen, going back to my chat box, I am so pleased to have Ogenerume Ogolo joining from Efuron. Thank you, membership chairs, Pierre Abuja section, for being part of this call. We have Professor David Ogbe joining from the Colorado in the USA. We are so pleased to have you, Prof, on the call. Another wealth of knowledge on the call. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us. We are pleased to have a 7 Cup member from Ekiti State, Nigeria, Ibitoye. Thank you, Ibitoye, for joining us for this meeting all the way from Ekiti State. Galadima, thank you for joining us from Maiduguri. Amazing, amazing. Everybody is joining from all parts of Nigeria. We are not seeing Abuja. So people from other parts of the world, is taking over SP Abuja technical lecture. Even our section chair is joining from Port Harcourt. I've not yet seen anybody from Abuja, but it's amazing. I know our Abuja friends will join anytime from now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me continue this event by recognizing some amazing, phenomenal personalities that have joined us on the call. I'll start by saying a warm welcome to our leader, the man that is known as a team leader. Of course, the section chairman of SP Abuja section, Engineer Ikechukwu Okafor, PhD, on the call. A very warm evening to you, sir, and welcome for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you, Akpan. It's good to be here, and welcome to everyone joining. I think we are joining from different locations across Nigeria and world. Welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for leading the section well, and of course, curating amazing technical sessions throughout your leadership as section chair. We're also pleased to have the membership chairman of SP Abuja on the call, Dr. Ogenerume Ogulu. A warm welcome to you, sir. Pleased to have you on the call.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Looking forward to an exciting event. Thank you.
Of course, it's going to be exciting membership chair. One of the key reasons of your membership drive is events like this, where all of our members enjoy this kind of sessions. We also say a warm welcome to the publicity chairman of SP Abuja on the call, Odafe Atebe. Warm welcome to you, sir. Confirm you can hear me.
Thank you very much, Fofunono. Joining in from all the way from Germany. And I hope I'm going to get a lot of value from this discourse. I also shared the link with the Hydrogen Committee, the National Hydrogen Committee. I hope some of them are on this call as well, so they can get a lot of insights from the presenter. Thank you, and well done.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm keen into our publicity chair. Welcome all distinguished members of the National Hydrogen Committee. Thank you for joining us. You can drop your chats on the chat box and tell us I'm from the National Hydrogen Committee so that we can celebrate you better. Thank you so much. So you see, our section chair is in Port Harcourt, our membership chair is in Warri, our publicity chair is in Germany. Where is our assistant diversity and inclusion chair at? Okay, Nwankwo is our diversity and inclusion chair assistant and is on the call. A warm afternoon to you, sir. Confirm you can hear me.
Yeah, thank you very much. I welcome everybody. I'm looking forward to an exciting section.
Please tell me, sir, you're in
I'm
Abuja.
actually joining from Lagos.
From Lagos?
I'm joining from Lagos. Thank you.
Wow. So everybody has left us in Abuja to other parts of the world. But again, thank you so much, board members, for joining the call. Welcome all senior and professional members. Welcome all amazing members who have come to join from all parts of the world on this call. This event is live streamed on YouTube. Of course, all of our past events on YouTube. You can always go back and visit and watch. Welcome Professor David Ogbe and of course other senior members on the call. Thank you for joining us today. Your Excellencies, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are switching gears today to the very first remarks we'll have today. But before we have the very first remark, I have not introduced our guest speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if your hands are not busy, I would like you to give a virtual applause to the CEO of Amplus VG Energy JV, Dr. Mohammed Baba Shehu, who will be taking us on today's lecture. Welcome, sir, and good evening to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, we switch gears immediately to the welcome address by the section chairman of SP Abuja, a man who is leading us with a culture of excellence. Please help me welcome Dr. Ikechukwu Okafor for his welcome address. Section Chair, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Akpan. I would ask to not turn on my video because I'm having a crashing meeting at this point, but I would go ahead to give the welcome address for this monthly technical meeting. On behalf of the board of SP Abuja section, we are very, very delighted, very proud indeed to welcome our speaker, especially, and everyone who has joined. I'm excited that a very senior member like Professor Ogbe is here. Like I told the students of AUST when we had a meeting there, I met Professor Ogbe in the book before I met him physically. I had referenced one of his work on permeability calculation before I physically met him, and ever since it has been so exciting for me to always have to meet him, whether it's in the meeting or with us physically. Thank you, Paul, for joining. The topic we are discussing today is quite an intentional one. In the face of energy transition, what do we do? Are we going to sit down and allow this phase pass us by, or are we going to begin to leverage the technology, leverage the new ideas that are coming forth? And that's why I think it is imperative for us to have someone with this depth of knowledge speak to us about how we can integrate hydrogen into the oil and gas space in line with the energy transition mandate. So it's quite an eye-opener for everyone who is here, for us to have this conversation, because it is critical for us to have this conversation and begin to look at the opportunities that abound and begin to look at how to collectively tackle the challenges. So I would ask every one of us, share this with your colleagues, share this with your friends, sit back, listen, and enjoy a master of the game talk to us about the craft. So thank you once again on behalf of the Board of SPE Abuja section. I welcome everyone to the June 2025 monthly technical meeting of SPE Abuja section. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Very inspiring welcome remarks, Section Chair SPE Abuja section. Of course, Section Chair has said it all. He's all excited as the master in the game will take us on this very exciting theme, integrating hydrogen production into Nigeria's oil and gas sector. Of course, a pathway to energy transition. I'd like to appeal that for the course of this lecture, kindly taking your notes, taking your pen, because at 30 minutes when we are done, you will have the opportunity to ask all of your questions. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, on the screen is the profile of the amazing speaker for today. I'll be reading it in the next 3 minutes. Engineer Dr. Mohammed Baba Shehu is a distinguished naval architect and project engineer with a robust career spanning over a decade in the offshore structures and subsea engineering industry. With a rich blend of expertise in offshore installation, decommissioning, field development, oil and gas financing, carbon capture storage, and utilization and renewable energy, Dr. Shehu has made significant contributions to the field through both his technical skills and leadership. Dr. Shehu earned his bachelor's degree in civil and water resources engineering from the University of Maiduguri, Nigeria in 2009. He furthered his education with a postgraduate diploma in offshore structures and subsea engineering from Ahmed University in India in 2013. His quest for knowledge led him to the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, United Kingdom, where he obtained a master's degree in subsea and pipeline engineering in 2016 and a PhD in naval architecture, ocean and marine engineering in 2020. I believe he deserves some resounding virtual applause. Throughout his career, Dr. Shehu has held several key positions, including his current role as the chairman and chief executive officer of VG Energy and Amplus VG Energy JV Nigeria, where he leads initiatives in the commissioning, reusing FPSO units, and managing oil and gas assets. His leadership in the development of comprehensive decommissioning plans and conversions of decommissioning FPSOs into floating carbon capture, storage, and injection units demonstrates his innovative approach to sustainable energy solutions. In addition to his corporate leadership, Dr. Shehu contributes to academia as a guest lecturer at the University of Strathclyde, Glasgow, UK, where he shares his knowledge of offshore oil and gas production systems. His industry experience includes significant roles as Sub7 UK, Global Maritime UK, Silver Shell Integrated Consulting Limited, where he led complex engineering projects and managed multidisciplinary teams across the globe. His work has been recognized with the prestigious Sub7 Smart Awards in 2023, highlighting his innovative contributions to the field. Dr. Shehu's contributions extend beyond his professional roles. As a member of the Code and Standards Committee of the Nigerian Society of Engineers and member of the Technical Board Engineering Regulatory Monitoring and Enforcement Maritime Sector of the Council of the Regulation of Engineering and Nigeria, COREN. He plays a crucial part in developing and enforcing engineering standards in Nigeria. Dr. Shehu's career is marked by his ability to navigate complex engineering challenges while maintaining a strong commitment to safety, environmental sustainability, and technological advancement. His leadership and expertise continues to influence the future of offshore engineering, CCUS, and renewable energy solutions worldwide. Your Excellencies, very distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my humble pleasure to introduce the CEO Ampoplos, who will take us on integrating hydrogen productions into Nigeria's oil and gas industry. Help me celebrate Dr. Mohammed Baba Shehu. Sir, the stage is yours for the next 30 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone joining, either from Nigeria, Europe, or the US. Thank you very much. Let me share my screen. I don't think there will be any sort of introduction. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Shehu. I'll be speaking on integrating hydrogen production into Nigerian oil and gas sector, a pathway to energy transition today. I think a lot is currently going in all our minds. Why hydrogen and why now? I think Nigeria is more focused in terms of developing its oil and gas, but lately a lot of move globally showing hydrogen production is the way forward. The question is, are we ready to move into the new trend, or we're happy with oil and gas production? But the issue, global push for decarbonization with recent taxes on decarbonization, CCUS, is really pushing a lot of nations into either hydrogen production, blue, green, or gray, no matter how you look into it. So Nigeria, with its vast natural resources, we have a lot of gas in place. It's important we need to take opportunities within the blue hydrogen so as to move into the new phase of green revolution. So a lot has been done globally. We also, BG, are currently working here back home in Nigeria to develop the first hydrogen project in Delta State, where we've taken over the Bruto. Currently, we're into feasibility studies of building the first hydrogen project in Nigeria. Hydrogen in global context, hydrogen to meet 10–12% of global energy needs by 2050. Around 40+ countries currently looking into hydrogen projects. Just last week, we had a hydrogen conference in the UK, where we've seen countries like Egypt, Morocco, South Africa moving really fast into the hydrogen phase. These countries, they've gotten investments in place up to 30, 40, 50 billion US dollars. The question is, Nigeria as a nation, why are we still sleeping? We need some of this investment. For us to get some of this investment, we need to show a level of seriousness when it comes to decarbonization, transition, and energy in place, the likes of hydrogen. A lot of gas flaring, as you know, within the Niger Delta today, huge amount of money being wasted. How can we combat waste to money? We have the likes of blue hydrogen in place where using steam reforming, you can have blue hydrogen. How can we convert a lot of these flare sites into hydrogen production? So 95, as you know, 90% of forex today is from oil and gas. But in future, production will be a kind of hydrogen will replace oil and gas. Whether we like it or not, it's good in some cases, and some actually industries are looking back towards or pushing back towards energy transition, but energy transition is here to stay. Either utilizing what you have, reducing your carbon footprint, or moving into the green zone. Wherever that fits, you look at the opportunities you have. In Nigeria, we have like a lot of access into gas flare sites. We have a lot of oil and gas stranded assets. How can we convert a lot of these assets into money? We call it waste to money. And we have assets today that were being shut down due to gas production. And as you know, a lot of pipelines in Nigeria today are aged. How can we convert some of these assets to hydrogen assets? So we have, like I said, we have the green hydrogen, gas reduction, gas monetization in terms of gas flaring, and also renewable. We have a lot of renewable potential here in Nigeria. One main challenge when it comes to hydrogen is transportation of hydrogen into the global market. When we first started, we looked at a project in Bauchi State. The wind was fantastic, sun, but one of the main challenges, transporting hydrogen into the global market, was a bit challenging. We also looked at opportunities of what we call the green fertilizer, conversion of hydrogen into ammonia, urea for farming, but the economics couldn't add up. So the best option was for us to move from the northern part to southern Nigeria, where we've taken over the Bruto port facility, looking at building a hydrogen plant. Hydrogen is similar to oil and gas. You need the global market to sell your hydrogen, and hydrogen can also be converted to the likes of ammonia and methanol in terms of fertilizer production. Nigerian oil and gas, we're facing a lot of pressure currently in terms of decarbonization, but the IOC is pushing back. But how long can we push back with the likes of the European carbon emission tax? Nobody cares if you're operating within Nigeria, but if you're looking at moving your production to the global market, you tend to look into your carbon footprint. You must pay a kind of tax either through the European carbon tax law. So carbon footprint reduction is something that a lot of companies will look into within the few months. Like I said, the European carbon tax is now active. You need to reduce your carbon footprint or pay carbon tax. So how can we take these opportunities within Nigeria to look at a lot of these global kind of transition from the oil and gas to renewable, or utilizing your oil and gas production as a green production zone, either through the CCUS or hydrogen production. I think a lot currently is ongoing in terms of research and development into hydrogen production. It might be a gray hydrogen, blue hydrogen, or a green hydrogen. One funny aspect of this is we have abundant water in Nigeria. With green hydrogen, using electrolysis, you can convert water with a renewable source into green hydrogen. It's just a basic chemistry where you have H2O, two molecules of hydrogen and water. You tend to separate your oxygen from hydrogen. So it's basic principles of chemistry. And we have abundant water here in Nigeria. Unlike the European nation, where in some cases you pay huge amount of sometimes getting fresh water. In Nigeria, we have abundant water. How can we use this opportunity now to get into the green hydrogen? It's something that we've been looking into. Or the blue hydrogen. As you know, we have abundant natural gas resources. How can you have access to blue hydrogen? It's through reduction of your CCUS, through methods. We have different methods when it comes to blue hydrogen. So with gray hydrogen, it's more of from coal, fossil fuel, depending on how we look into. We have a lot of gas plants. We have abundant kind of opportunities here in Nigeria. We even have hydros, the Niger State dams and a lot of hydro projects coming up in Nigeria. How can we utilize these opportunities when it comes to hydrogen? So the opportunities are here. In terms of funding, like I said, there are a huge amount of fundings today globally in hydrogen production, hydrogen projects. How can we use our knowledge within the oil and gas and tap into these opportunities? We have a lot of professionals here within the oil and gas. The opportunity to move into these spaces, almost we have access, technologies here, few companies that I personally know moved into Nigeria to look into opportunities of hydrogen. We've been part of some of these companies. We're promoting this, not basically saying to the government, kind of no more oil and gas. No, we'll still produce, but how can we produce responsibly? And the opportunities, though hydrogen is in its early phase, is very expensive. It has huge capex, opex kind of in this early stage, but companies are coming up with newer technologies that will reduce in terms of both capex and opex in the gray, green, or the blue hydrogen production. The opportunities, like I've mentioned initially, we have a lot of gas infrastructure, national gas reserves. We have solar when you go down to northern Nigeria. We have wind potential in the south when you go offshore, and in some cases in some of the onshore areas. We also have a lot of ports today struggling to get investment. Why can't we convert our ports into hydrogen transportation, hydrogen storage? We have the likes of Lekki Deep Sea. We also have the Delta State, the Bluetooth Deep Sea, and a few other deep sea ports that are currently struggling to raise funding. Opportunity, like I say, is convert your ports into hydrogen production. It also reduces the cost of transportation. Basically, vessels can move into your port facility and uptake any of the hydrogen, being it the green hydrogen or the blue hydrogen. In Delta State, I think one of the opportunity we also have within Delta to have a hydrogen project is because of our access to some of these oil blocks. So that will give us a lot of opportunities within the blue hydrogen project. As you can see, Lagos State, I think Lekki Deep Sea is also looking at having a green hydrogen project within Lekki Deep Sea. One huge access to some of these facilities is not just hydrogen, like I said. You can also have opportunities of converting or integrating your hydrogen into ammonia, methanol, and urea production. You can also use hydrogen as a storage. Globally today, a lot of projects is going on in Europe where hydrogen is used as a battery storage. The opportunities is huge. CO2 storage, I think few of us, we're currently looking at opportunities of getting approval in place for carbon capture storage within Nigeria. It's also a kind of unique area. Looking at blue hydrogen, the whole idea is conversion of your gas into blue, but how can you get rid of the CO2? So it's important you look at opportunities of storage that will give you access to two opportunities: selling your carbon credits and also selling of your hydrogen production. Flare to gas or flare to hydrogen production is one of the opportunities looking at the value chain within Nigeria. We have smaller ports of gas flaring spread along the Niger Delta region. And one of the studies we're currently into is looking at a hub. We call it a hub, where we're looking at nearby assets that flare gases, converting those flare into blue hydrogen. Technology-wise, we work with different technology providers. And also, we're looking at exporting hydrogen and ammonia into outside the country. You can also look at opportunities within upstream, midstream, and downstream. There are pilot projects today in Europe where you see hydrogen buses hydrogen trends, and I think few pilot tests on hydrogen aerofoils. So we need to reactivate our R&D departments here in Nigeria, where we need to look at opportunities of having hydrogen into our transportation system, or in some cases, you can use hydrogen cracking by converting your heavy fuels into lighter fuels. We have a lot of refineries today. We have the likes of Dangote Refinery, we have the Warri Refinery, Port Harcourt Refinery. For you guys within the SP, the Society of Petroleum Engineers, there is huge opportunities of looking into research of hydrogen cracking. How can we use hydrogen cracking and get into the refining business? Is huge. Dangote is 600,000 barrels per day, and currently Dangote is struggling to access crude into Nigeria. If you can convert some of this heavy crude in Nigeria into lighter crude that Dangote Refinery can handle, why not? Let our universities reactivate R&D departments to look into opportunities of hydrogen cracking. A lot of job creation, like I said, it also attracts foreign investment. We're looking at bringing in around $2 to $4 billion on our own hydrogen project. It's very huge. The likes of Egypt, Morocco government could raise up to $40 billion on their hydrogen project. Nigeria, we can do it. The funding is there. German government is willing to fund any hydrogen project that is including feasibility with the tune of around $150 billion. So how can we have access to some of these fundings into Nigeria? It's a kind of huge opportunities we need to look into. Can we do it? Yep, we have the right engineers in Nigeria to do that. But one main challenge is policy regulatory framework. When I moved back home, in our own case, BG, we found a lot of these opportunities in more of a harder way, because we're into carbon capture project. We have the technology. Globally, we've been executing carbon capture projects. We have the funding in place to execute the project in Nigeria, but the main challenge was policy and regulatory framework. And it's a bit challenging. And I know NURPC is currently working hard. The likes of Dr. Mala and others are working hard to come up with a clear guideline policies on both hydrogen and carbon capture. That will give us access to the global market, not just selling a carbon, kind of carbon pricing, infrastructural planning, national hydrogen strategy. A lot of countries, as you can see from this map, some already have a published national strategy, some looking into an initial policy, of which Nigeria is part of those countries. These are some of the active early stage FID and operational projects globally. Like I said, Saudi Aramco is also deeply into hydrogen. Shell, Saudi Aramco, Total, BP also is deeply into hydrogen. So we need to look at these opportunities. We have active projects. Is it active? If you look at this map, you see a lot of operational projects today in Europe, though we have feasibility studies currently going on in Africa. And I think very soon the Namibian Darus project will be active to be the first hydrogen project here in Africa. And Nigeria we're the leaders of Africa. We keep on saying, oh, we're the giant of Africa, but when it comes to technology acceptance, we tend to move slow. How can we get this funding? We have engineers like you guys. We need to come up with ideas. We need to come up with solutions to have access to funding and not just start execute a lot of these projects within Nigeria. The challenge, like I said, high capex, still gap. A lot of our universities today, our expectation is to look at energy transition as a course within universities, where a lot of students will be educated on energy transition, opportunities of energy transition, and technologies behind energy transition. So not just working within industry, but it's important we have some of these courses within universities we need to have R&D departments both within universities and industries in Nigeria to look at opportunities within hydrogen. It might differ actually. In Europe, they have a lot of access to pipeline networks. In some places like Aberdeen, we have high wind up to 15 meters per second. Now in Nigeria, what are the opportunities? We have huge opportunities in geothermal. We have the sun. In some cases, we have wind, but our wind speed is very low. We have up to 5-6 meters per second. Can we design a blade that can easily function within 2 to 4 meters per second? These are some of the initial studies we're expecting our universities to look into. Electrolysis is something that a lot of, including India, is looking into designing more cost-effective kind of electrolysis. Is the huge kind of, in terms of CapEx and OpEx when it comes to hydrogen. How we have universities, brilliant minds here in Nigeria, we need to go into research and development. Though I know it's a bit tricky when it comes to research and development back home here in Nigeria. Getting funding into research and development, it's something, I won't say is something easy, but you can approach the likes of World Bank, African Development Bank, IFC, AFC. These guys will happily fund your initial studies if you have a good idea on hydrogen. I think the last time I met IFC in Lagos, we had a meeting on kind of new technologies. IFC, they have a dedicated department where they look into new technologies and they fund new technologies. So brilliant engineers in this call, you can look into some of these opportunities, look at the funding through IFC or World Bank to carry out hydrogen studies. Proposed pilot project is really important. We need to have a pilot project, carry out an initial study pilot project, look at opportunities within the pilot project. How can we improve if there is 1, 2, or 3 kind of issues? How can we improve from our pilot project to full scale? It's important we always look into a pilot project. Unfortunately, when it comes back to Nigeria, we also tend to look at the bigger projects of billions of dollars. But in both hydrogen and carbon capture, it's really important to have a pilot project. Pilot project either looking within the hydrogen cluster, that's the blue hydrogen, or the green hydrogen hub, combination of wind, solar, geothermal, depending on where you want to execute this project. Towards Jos, Kano, Katsina area, we tend to have both wind, geothermal, and solar. But transporting hydrogen from those locations to port facility, the capex will, the cost is high. But if we can look at utilization in terms of transportation, green fertilizer, we have a lot of farms within northern Nigeria, transportation, either rail, buses, cars. There are even tricycles today in Europe with opportunities of hydrogen, so utilization is important. The pilot project, we also have access to like R&D department where we study the pilot projects. So a full-scale project is similar to what the Darrows guys are doing now in Namibia. And finally, yeah, the transportation kind of R&D. Roadmap, just a roadmap. We here in BG, we're looking at a kind of strategic roadmap to 2020, 2025, start up with a pilot project. 2027, begin export. 2030, conversion of hydrogen to power or transport hydrogen to Europe, Asia, or America. 2025, 10 to 15% of energy mix from us will surely be a kind of done deal here in Nigeria. We're also looking at opportunities within urea and ammonia. We have the likes of Dangote, Indorama plants. We have a lot of fertilizer companies here in Nigeria. Why not take the opportunities of having your green ammonia delivered to some of some of these huge fertilizer companies here in Nigeria. New energy futures, you can see from the chart, Nigeria in terms of oil and gas, we're leading, but in terms of green energy, we're far behind the likes of Egypt, Morocco, South Africa are currently leading in decarbonization and energy transition. Do we need to wait for these guys? We need to also be active within the market, begin the transition step by step, looking at opportunities, like I said, conversion of our oil blocks into green zones, converting our depleted wells into carbon storage, and we can become the leaders in Africa when it comes to hydrogen production. Call to action, I know we have few government officials here. We need government policy, we need NNPC, IOCs. They are the owners of a lot of these assets in Nigeria. Investors, either through PPEP, or we also need the academia, we need the universities. We need to train individuals right from universities to the industry. So universities need to wake up, have a lot of courses within the university, either a short time or a kind of integrated course into some of the courses we have, to have energy transition and a lot of these technology studies. So that's all from me. Let's discuss what's the future of hydrogen here in Nigeria. I know we have a few experts here that maybe want to add more into this current presentation. So if you have anything to add, or you want us to, let's have like an open conversation within the future of hydrogen here, either with any regulator or producer or whoever that is active into these hydrogen projects here in Nigeria. So before I take on any question, maybe if there is any contribution to this presentation, you might raise your hand, and maybe the host can let you in, and then we'll have maybe 2-3 minutes kind of discussion within the future of hydrogen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the very, very interesting lecture. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have the opportunity to ask your question now, or you give a contribution like he has advised. So please, can raise your hands. We have all of our distinguished professionals from different companies, NNDPRA, NEPRC. Just raise your hands. Academia to raise your hands, please, so that he would hear your contribution. If you have a question, you can type. Also raise your hands, and then we'll give the opportunity to speak. Thank you. Okay, I can see some hands raised. I think we will start with our section chair, and then Haruna Inuwa will go next. Section chair, please.
Okay. Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Dr. Mohammed. Quite a lecture. You know, you are soft spoken, so the lecture was just keeping through. I love the part where you did a call for action. I think to a great extent there is a need for collaboration. Perhaps we are going to need to implement the triple helix framework in trying to get people to think about this and begin to act proactively. But one of my questions would be, I don't know if you talk around safety prevalence in this quest for different hydrogen. What the safety concerns around this? Is this just an all-comers affair, or is it one that in managing it you need specialized professional for specialized action around the safety concerns?
So thank you very much. Hydrogen production, we're already producing gas in Nigeria. We have the likes of NLNG, some oil blocks producing gas, so it's similar to oil production. But like I said, we have different kind of types of hydrogen. It might be a green hydrogen, a gray hydrogen, or a blue hydrogen. With green hydrogen is utilization of solar and wind. We all know today there are active kind of projects globally when it comes to solar and wind. Even here in Nigeria, we have a lot of solar projects currently going on. But we have challenges in Nigeria in terms of storage. So you can use hydrogen as a storage with no safety concern. We've been having a lot of hydrogen projects globally. One of the main concerns when it comes to safety is utilization of existing facilities to have a hydrogen, either transportation or storage. Meaning these facilities were not initially designed to transport hydrogen. There are some also studies within DMB on pipeline utilization and safety issues when it comes to hydrogen transportation. But if you look at new build, new design, a lot of these facilities that are newly built are built with all the parameters taken into account in terms of density, in terms of pressure. You won't have a lot of safety concern, but utilization of existing facility, definitely there's a lot of safety concern. Example, here in Nigeria, a lot of our pipelines are 25, 30, 40, in some cases 45 years. They've already, the life is either minimal or due to decommission. The question is, can you utilize some of these facilities as transportation or storage? That needs a lot of safety concerns, that you need a lot of studies. But any new build facility, the safety issue is very minimal. We've not heard of any hydrogen accident currently. But yeah, if there is any, maybe somebody will contribute, but we've not heard of any hydrogen accident. In terms of safety, I said it's really okay. I don't know if this answers your question or.
Yeah, thank you. That's just needed a conversation around that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, Haruna Inuwa. Then after Haruna is done his question, we'll have Professor David Ogbe ask his question. Haruna, please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for a wonderful lecture. So I have some few questions around the use cases of hydrogen, and I haven't really seen, maybe I missed it, I haven't really seen you talking about using hydrogen for energy access, especially in the context where Nigeria now has energy crisis, especially in the commercial and also residential area. That's the first question. Secondly, I think, yeah, of course, it's a good argument to say Nigeria has billions of gas reserves and you can actually produce your blue hydrogen. But the main question here is that if you produce, who will be your off-taker, right? Because we know that this process, you need to invest a lot to produce this thing. And if you are producing hydrogen through blue process, you need carbon capture technology, which is another capital-intensive technology. So, how do you see the economic viability of hydrogen across sectors? So I'll give you, for example, you talk about industries using hydrogen, like petrochemical industry for hydrocracking, like refineries, or you even talk about where you use hydrogen to produce ammonia, then from ammonia you produce urea. So in Nigerian context, I know that you talk about a lot about Nigeria. In Nigerian context, probably you said you are currently doing a feasibility study in Warri. So how economically viable hydrogen is across these sectors? Have you really checked it out, or you are still trying to review hydrogen economic viability across various sectors? Finally, energy projects are capital intensive. Already Nigeria is having issues with disruptions on energy infrastructure. Okay, to the Niger Delta, you have militants. In the northwest, you have bandits, and also in the northeast, you have Boko Haram. And we all know that hydrogen projects are capital intensive. Like, you are talking about bringing external investors to come to Nigeria because we have the resources and to invest in this thing. But the question is that how do you see this political instability playing into de-risking or risking investment, and how does it affect hydrogen project coming down to Nigeria to play a role? Thank you very much, and yeah, I'm out.
So thank you very much, Mr. Haruna. Coming back to economics of hydrogen, a lot of, not just Nigeria, Morocco, Egypt, South Africa, including Nigeria, we're all currently looking into the European market. In Europe today, a kilo of hydrogen is around $29. There is market in Europe, but in Africa, currently we don't have any market when it comes to hydrogen. So the Egyptian production being fully funded by German investors already have offtake agreements from multiple companies. The Moroccan project also, there are multiple off-takers from the Moroccan project, including South Africa. Nigeria, as you know, due to political instability, policies not in place, we're doing our best pushing. Just last week, I had quite a few meetings with off-takers in Europe, where we're showcasing how cheap our project will be. Why we're saying ours will be cheaper compared to a lot of the hydrogen projects is because of its location. One, we intend to produce hydrogen within the port facility. So to reduce cost of a green hydrogen, you need to have a kind of port facility where you will produce your hydrogen. Coming back to carbon capture question you've raised, it depends on in all these projects, either hydrogen or carbon capture, your offtake and cost of either your carbon credit sales or pricing within a ton of your hydrogen will determine whether it's economically viable or it's not economically viable. We have, through our partnership, Carbon Cycle, we have a lot of active projects currently. Globally, we have projects in Norway, we have projects in Canada, projects in the UK, and currently we're doing a bit of feasibility studies here in Nigeria on cement and fertilizer kind of decarbonization. If you're lucky to get into the Canadian market, where a carbon pricing is around $150, $120, your economics will definitely add up. If you move into the European market, where you look into $60 to $80, if your design towards storage area, meaning few kilometers to depleted wells, or few kilometers to a geotechnical environment that can withstand storage, the cost of transport will reduce, and you will have access to a kind of markup within your economics. Within African project, a lot of our carbon pricing is through the voluntary carbon market, where you will see a carbon credit of $2 to $10 to $20. You need some sort of government support, government subsidies to work out within your economics. So project depends on your offtake agreement, who you're signing the offtake at, what cost are you signing your offtake agreement. Just an example, our project here in Delta State, we're currently discussing with an investor in Europe that is willing to fund the project, and also we're looking at power purchase agreement of 12 cents. It's cheaper compared to a lot of power purchase agreement today in place in Nigeria. So if you can bid up your price in terms of power purchase agreement, then you can add up the economics might add up. So in your initial feasibility, it's important for you to look into the market, the cost of what you intend to sell. It might be hydrogen, it might be ammonia, urea, even oxygen. It depends on the kind of market you're looking into. Either Africa or Europe, off-takers also looking at the value of how much you intend to sell a ton of your hydrogen or ammonia or urea will determine how a lot of these investors in Europe will fund your project and off-takers will come into your project. So there is, unlike the oil pricing where you have a global price of WTI, Brent, with hydrogen, it differs. You need to design your facility and come up with a pricing, have an agreement with an off-taker that is willing to off-take your product. I think you spoke about insecurity in northern Nigeria. Yeah, when we started Bauchi project, I think one of the main concerns was transporting hydrogen from Bauchi to Lagos or Port Harcourt or Delta into any of the ports. Infrastructure issues, insecurity issues, and we looked into utilization. But we all pray in the insecurity will end. It's just a matter of time. We won't have these issues for a long time. We pray it goes, and we look at opportunities of having some of these green products so that our farmers can have access to cheaper fertilizers. So that was our initial target. We have all the farms within northern Nigeria. Farmers having access to fertilizer was an issue. Then we decided to look into opportunities of creating what we call the green fertilizer for farmers to utilize. Coming back to the Daros project, if you look at the Daros project, or you can go back and study the Daros project is basically utilization of the green fertilizers within the Daros farm. So you capture and then utilize your product. And also note that if you have what we call a negative or a neutral CO2, you sell the price of a negative or a neutral CO2 is higher than the conventional CO2. So within your facility, you can have a lot of this bio kind of production when you have negative CO2. So the opportunity is there, but in your early studies, you need to sit down, look at the initial feasibility on how best you can reduce the cost of your design, because design might differ from party A to party B. I don't know if I've answered all your questions or I've left something out.
No, that's fine. I will definitely reach out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so you just have 3 questions and you wrap up. We have a question from Oga David Ogbe, Prof. David Ogbe, and then we have from OK, and then Almin Sani dropped a chat. Prof, please, your question.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Great.
Loud and clear, sir.
So, Dr. Shehu, first of all, let me thank you for a wonderful presentation. I just have 1.5 question. The full question is, what do you consider a way of ranking the top 5 bottlenecks that are mitigating against the use of hydrogen in the Nigerian market? And that is the first one. If you can rank the top 5 bottlenecks, that'd be great. And then the second thing is, what is your best message, which is kind of related to the first one? What's the best message you can give so that you can get investors and everybody excited about using hydrogen in the face of the alternative? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think maybe you've not heard me when I said, currently in Nigeria, we don't have market when it comes to hydrogen, meaning you generate and look at the European market. We don't have buses that runs on hydrogen. We don't have cars. We don't have tricycles. We don't have trains. Just last week, I was in Aberdeen. Aberdeen owns a single hydrogen plant, and there was an issue on the hydrogen plant, and a lot of hydrogen vehicles were parked. And the government was actively looking into other markets to bring in hydrogen. So coming back to Nigerian market, we don't have a market when it comes to utilization. But production and looking at the global market, we have huge potential opportunities either through the blue hydrogen or the green hydrogen or the gray hydrogen. So I don't know, are you looking at utilization in terms of market utilization or export, Prof?
Export. You know, I mean, investors want to make money. So what would be the best message for investor to say, okay, yeah, I want to come to Nigeria to invest in production of hydrogen for export, and because Nigeria has this one versus, you know, Egypt or any of the other countries you've mentioned. So what's your best message to get people excited? Because once people are excited, they will invest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your best message?
Affordability. I think in Nigeria we have huge affordability when it comes to some of these projects. Affordability meaning a lot of us that live in Europe know how much you need to pay to have access to water. Basically in Nigeria you have access to water. Free access to water, meaning you can drill boreholes, utilize those opportunities to create your hydrogen. That will also reduce your initial cost of hydrogen production. That's in the green phase of it. In the blue phase of it, we also have abundant gas resources. Currently, a lot of gas assets struggling to look at opportunities of converting the gas, whether LNG, the blue hydrogen opportunities. Ramos, you can just come in, produce blue hydrogen with a lot of gas assets, while opportunities within gas reserves is very high in Nigeria compared to any other location, either in Europe or Africa. So in the blue hydrogen phase, we have opportunities within the blue hydrogen production. When it comes to gray hydrogen, we have a lot of coal that will also reduce costs. Investors will always look at the cost of development, the cost of operation, and how much you intend to sell, and the payback time. In our own case, I think in our initial feasibility, we've reduced a lot of costs. That's why today we're talking to 5, 6, 7 different investors. Looking at investment is huge, actually. None of the project currently, I think Egypt is around 30 billion, Morocco around $40 billion, and it's a huge funding, Looking at the Nigerian market, we all know today, due to the risk index of Nigeria, a lot of investors are not willing to, sorry to say, they are not willing to invest when it comes to Nigerian market. But with the Green Fund, there is access to a lot of funding, even backdoor through Afro-Exim, African Development Bank. If you have a viable project, these two organizations can fund your project. Cost reduction wise, we have a lot of opportunities when it comes to CO2 storage, of which the initial Halliburton studies showed a lot of potentials here in Nigeria when it comes to CO2 storage. You look at a kind of circular design where you design your hydrogen with a potential of carbon capture and carbon storage, that you sell your hydrogen and you also sell your carbon credit. So you have access to 2 markets, and that's what we as organization BG AGS, in our own facilities, we design our facilities with potential of carbon storage, CO2 storage through maritime vessels, CO2 through oil and gas, or CO2 transportation from Europe to our facility as a storage. That's why the cost of our own design is less than compared to a lot of the projects globally today. I will share a video maybe with the organizers on the Bruto project. You can watch the video if you have any question. I think we can discuss more.
Thank you very much. Just a kind of follow up. The problem with gas utilization in Nigeria is actually has to do with the stranded gas. Because if you have any gas field or any, close to a pipeline, there's no problem. All right, you can always, send that to the LNG plant or for domestic utilization. But you find that there are a lot of fields where the gas is not directly connected to a pipeline. So in that case, anything you are doing, you have to factor in the cost of moving that to the market. And that is, is actually impacting conventional gas projects. So my follow-up question is, how do you intend to address this issue in the hydrogen space?
So I think in one of the presentations, I've made mention of a hub concept where we are not looking at just one. We look at multiple assets where we hub it into a single hydrogen plant. That will reduce the cost of your initial design. If you have a production within an asset, let's say 2 million or 3 million scf of gas per day, and you have multiple assets where you have a single facility that can accommodate some of these facilities, it will reduce the cost. But the other question now is, what's the distance between your facility to the transport network? Is there an existing pipeline? No. There are cheaper ways today, of which I think Saudi Aramco just 2 weeks or 3 weeks back. Also, they're looking into cheap transport methods of hydrogen, and they're looking at thermoplastic. Thermoplastic is cheaper, it's faster in terms of installation. You don't need any welding, you don't need any special vessel, you don't need kind of huge time-taking project management. You just reel in and reel out. There are pipes, of which we call it thermoplastic pipes. You can use some of these pipes. Your transportation, if there is a rail network, you can also look at opportunities of rail. In Delta State, we're looking at opportunities of using some of the northern part of Nigeria, the likes of Kogi states and other locations that connects Delta State directly to some of these locations via rail network. You can easily have your production either through green or blue, and then transport your hydrogen using the rail line. So you can use rail networks, transport using trucks, pipeline, depending on the location. You can also design your facilities. Your trucks would run with hydrogen. That will reduce the cost of fueling. As you know, today, the cost of diesel is very high here in Nigeria. You look at opportunities of utilization of hydrogen even within your project, having trucks that can run with hydrogen, having rails that can run with hydrogen, having barges that can run with hydrogen, having also ships that can run with hydrogen or ammonia. We have new vessels being built that are into the market now that runs with green ammonia or green hydrogen. So you need to mitigate a lot of these risks by looking at a whole cycle of having a transport network that will run with the fuel you're generating.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, we would like to appeal that we won't be taking much questions after these 3 questions. We'll just take only Okay, Roya, and Al-Amin. Please, no other person should ask questions. If you have questions, kindly contact our speaker via his LinkedIn DM or his email address. Okay, Nwankwo, please go ahead with your question, please.
Okay, thank you, Oponono, for the opportunity. Thank you, Chairman, for bringing this speaker to really talk about hydrogen to SPA. So my first question is related to, if I understand the speaker very well, all the projects in Nigeria are still in the conceptual stage. There's no one that you have really advanced on. And then my second comment is in relation to the wonderful presentation you made, where you highlighted, I think you said no regulatory, I've forgotten how you put it. So I just wanted to highlight that the Petroleum Industry Act as of today, has already identified hydrogen as a transportation fuel and a petroleum product. And I know within the NMDPRA, we also had a hydrogen committee, and I think there's also the National Hydrogen Council that is about or will be or that is working on, how to really operationalize the use of hydrogen as one of the fuels to be used in the country. And if you also look at the PIA, there are lots of provision that support the utilization of natural gas, which you mentioned as one of the primary advantage that Nigeria has in respect to leveraging on our abundant natural gas for the production of blue hydrogen in particular. So if you look at the midstream and downstream gas infrastructure fund, it provides, it could provide that equity funding that can be used to fund the hydrogen projects and for elimination of flame. I know the authorities also looking at deploying the public service obligation and even some of the things you mentioned, which is in respect to how pipelines can be retrofitted to accommodate the use of hydrogen. I think even within this call, we have the chairman of NMBPRA, the team of NMBPRA Hydrogen Committee, and I believe maybe he's going to speak about it in a bit more detail. And then we also have, even where the person that mentioned about the stranded gas, under the PIA, there's also the provision for third-party access, whereby you can, what is it called now? Co-locate gases to use one gas processing facility and hydrogen as the speaker has mentioned. So in summary, what I'm just trying to suggest is I think there is also need for the speaker to reach out more to regulators, and I think his knowledge on this will be highly valuable in terms of developing the necessary policies that will be used to fully operationalize the utilization of hydrogen in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know, maybe some of your statement is more of an advice, recommendation, and question. Coming back to the PIA identification, actually is different with policies. Yeah, PIA identified decommissioning, carbon capture, hydrogen, but they're currently having a policy in place that will back some of these technologies is not in place. I work closely with the regulators. I'm one of the few individuals or few companies here in Nigeria that owns an approval to do carbon capture and hydrogen projects. I think I work closely with RDPA. I have the approval in place, and also NLRPC. They are kind of partners that we're currently working. And yeah, a lot of projects today are feasibility. Not just Nigeria, Africa, Europe, 85% of hydrogen projects are currently on a feasibility study kind of push. As you know, we need huge funding also to do feasibility. Not just companies are not coming in free to do a feasibility study, because your feasibility, in terms of feasibility studies, is huge. We'll do feasibility studies within renewable generation, feasibility study within transportation, feasibility studies within the technology, and feasibility studies within fabrication and installation. So it's huge funding. We're talking of 5, 10, 20 million US dollars when it comes to feasibility studies of some of these projects. So that's why I say a lot of the projects are currently on a feasibility base. You need money to move into FID or early engineering kind of projects. Yeah, I think that's all. With regulators, we work closely as a company here. Not just regulators, we also want to work with students, we want to work with companies. I think I have 2 students currently, one an IT and one internship student here in my office, looking into hydrogen and looking into carbon capture. We're happy to work with individuals. We're happy to work with universities just to educate them on the importance of decarbonization, technologies behind decarbonization. We're one of the few to our SPV partnership, the only company globally with a post-combustion carbon capture project, an active project, a carbon storage project in Norway, and also a neutral carbon project in Canada. And we're willing to, when the time comes, to share this knowledge with a lot of indigenous individuals in Nigeria. The purpose of us being back home is to train Nigerian engineers. And we're also happy to partner with the likes of the Society of Petroleum Engineers and others to promote the decarbonization and energy transition here in Nigeria. Thank you.
So we have a question on the chat, sir, from Alamin Sani. What are the corrosion and material degradation concerns associated with hydrogen pipelines and how can Nigeria operators address them?
Corrosion, definitely, not just hydrogen, even within gas, you have H2, an active kind of corrosion within gas facilities. With hydrogen, the corrosion is not that high, but with CO2, corrosion is higher than any other product. That's why a lot of pipes that will transport CO2 are basically designed that are stainless steel or other huge materials that can withstand corrosion. But with hydrogen, depending on, are you talking of the green hydrogen part or the blue hydrogen part or the gray hydrogen part? They all have different densities. So the corrosion mitigation within all the three is different. So I don't know, Alamin, are you looking at all the three, green, gray, and blue? Or you're just looking into the blue hydrogen, that's reforming of, still reforming of gas into hydrogen?
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Roya, please, you have just a few seconds to ask a question, so that we wrap up with your question, please.
All right, thank you very much. Mine is a simple question. The thing is, I missed a bit of the presentation because the first device I used didn't have sufficient volume. I missed it. How close are we to using hydrogen as an energy source in Nigeria? Because I mean, I know we are currently, in the hydrocarbon phase. This is an educating presentation for me. So I want to know how close are we to being, in the operations phase, or at least, utilizing this energy source in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simon. Giving a timeline to your question would be very difficult, actually. But if you look at the fertilizer plants, you look at the refinery, within few years, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, the utilization of hydrogen, there's a bit of feasibility with the utilization of hydrogen. The cost of some of the vehicles when it comes to hydrogen buses, hydrogen trucks is very high. We're talking of a single truck around $150,000 US also. Converting into Naira is very huge. So transportation utilization will take time, pending, companies are currently into a lot of R&D phase to reduce the cost of some of these vehicles. But looking at the fertilizer plant, looking at refineries for hydrogen cracking within 5, 6 years or more, definitely Nigeria is going into the green revolution as well. But also acceptance of some of these parties, meaning the owners of some of these fertilizer plants, is also important, because you need their approval to have access to their plant. And one of the main challenge also, we don't have any policy today in Nigeria that is pushing into this green revolution. None of these operators, they're not paying any tax. If they're not paying tax, they don't need any hydrogen projects. So pending when we have the decarbonization framework, we'll look into it and hope the regulators will charge a lot of these IOCs and emitters huge amount of tax, and then we'll have a lot of this project within 2, 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out time to respond to all of the questions that was being asked today. We celebrate you. Please, let's give our speaker some virtual rounds of applause. Thank you so much, sir. We are grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've not joined, if you're not a member of SP Abuja, this is the time to join. Every month, we engage all of our amazing members through meetings like this. Some days ago, we had the Launch and Learn Masterclass, which is still an initiative of SP Abuja section to share technical knowledge to our members. So you should register today as both as a student and a professional member. The new membership fee is at 6,500 naira. And of course, to renew your membership is 69,500 naira. We kindly appeal that you DM or give a call to our membership chair engineer, Dr. Rome Ogolo, with the number on your screen. And just in case you want to renew your membership, the number is on the screen. And of course, the account number is on the screen for renewals. We also are active on all social media platforms, from X, formerly called Twitter, to Instagram, to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to YouTube, where this event is live streamed. And of course, our Gmail address is always active for a 24/7 response when you contact us for any issues. If you want to catch or refresh your memory on past events, please visit our YouTube. And of course, you'll be glad you did so. We have our biggest flagship event, which is the Nigerian Annual International Conference and Exhibition. It's going to hold from the 4th to 6th of August, live at Echo Hotel. It is paramount to note that the early bird registration ends on the 30th of June. We are barely 6 days away. So should you want to register and join the conference, kindly make use of these huge discounts before 30th of June. After 30th of June, it's going to get to the normal rate. This juncture, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to wrap up this event by inviting our publicity chairman, of course, Mr. Odafe Atebe, as he takes the closing remark. Engineer Odafe Atebe, the stage is yours for your remarks, sir. Engineer Odafe Atebe, you there? Wow. Engineer Odafe Atebe, are you omitting your mic? If you're speaking, you're muted.
In a meeting.
Okay, session chair.
Yeah. I can hear you, Akpan.
So you can help us do it again as a session chair since.
Okay. Thank you first, especially to our speaker. You've done justice to this topic, especially in eliciting our interest as to want to look at where we're coming. I'm sure personally I would be engaging with you just so we could have something for my students. Let's see how we can begin to knock on the door with possibilities abound with these opportunities, right? So on behalf of SP Abuja section, the board, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who has attended, stayed up this time. Thank you, Professor Ogbe, to everyone on this call, speaker. It's been a pleasurable ride, and we've piloted this flight, landed with anticipation and energy to approach this subject. Thank you for spending the time with us. We appreciate it. And we please that we will come again to call you for stuff like this. Please oblige us. Let's have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much to our section chair for that amazing, phenomenal remark. Ladies and gentlemen, please turn on the video cameras. Let's have a screenshot and then wrap up the event. Just on the video cameras, please. Turn on the video cameras and let's just do a quick screenshot. Professor David Ogbe, thank you for joining. Abdul Salam Adijo, thank you for turning your camera. Thank you, section chair, for turning your camera. Roya Simon, thank you so much. We are still waiting for others. Dr. Mutari Lawal, thank you so much for joining and turning your camera. Chinyeye Ajibon, thank you so much. We're still waiting for the others. So when I say SPE Abuja, you respond with culture of excellence, and then you show me your thumbs up. SP Abuja, you respond with culture of excellence, and you show me your thumbs up. We'd like to wait for others, so please kindly turn on your video cameras. Mayu Mikun, Inos, Emmanuel, Justus Igwe, Muhammad, BJ Ali, Abednego, Kingsley, Al Amin, and Godwin Umoru. But if you're not ready to turn your cameras, let's go ahead with those that are here. Of course, just have one. Let's celebrate Chine here, the only female on call. Thank you, Chine here. Thank you, thank you. Okay, SP Abuja.
Center of Culture and Excellence.
Culture of Excellence. Okay, let's do it again. SP Abuja.
Culture of Excellence.
Thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have about 5 minutes to network, and after that, we would end the call. Thank you. Thank you for now.
Thank you all. Bye for now.
Thank you, Paul. Bye-bye, Paul.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Thank you. Hallelujah.
Thank you.